Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. As always, my name is Tim. This is Freight Master Resources, where we provide tips, tools, resources, industry news to help you grow and be more successful as a freight carrier, broker, or broker agent. Okay. Um, so I came across this article about the shifting landscape of U.S. manufacturing and kind of what it means for freight. So this video is really for all of you carriers, brokers, broker agents, okay, because this affects everybody, all right? And I have some infographics and things that I'm going to pop up so you don't have to stare at my ugly mug all day, all right? That being said, we'll jump into it. I'm going to pop this one up first so that you guys have this for reference. Okay. Um, so basically, over the last 20 years, U.S. manufacturing has undergone some big changes. All right. Since 2002, the number of manufacturing establishments in the U.S. has dropped by over 45,000. And in the infographic that I just put up on the screen, illustrates the decline in various industries. Okay. So basically, in the last 20 years, we see how much we've lost by basically outsourcing our manufacturing because we've become more of a consumer country than a manufacturing country. For those of you that, quick history lesson, the U.S. used to be the manufacturing powerhouse of the world. Basically, if you bought anything that was manufactured outside of the U.S., it was junk, right? And for some of you out there that are old enough to remember, we lost companies like Zenith. I don't even know, do they make like RCA anymore? General Electric, well, it's still being made. It's not being made in the U.S. A lot of our auto manufacturing, at least the parts and things, we basically just assemble them. I don't know that, there's some parts that we still make here, but overall, a lot of it, the motors, parts, transmission, a lot of that stuff is, built elsewhere. So it's really kind of a shame. It's affected our economy over the years as a result. It used to be, dad could go to work, mom stayed home. He could buy a home, take care of a family of four, little Johnny and little Susie, whatever, and still probably afford to put them through college. Essentially, that has not happened in a long time. Now mom has to go to work. And if you remember latchkey kids, right? I was a latchkey kid growing up. And so, you get home from school, there's nobody there. You pretty much had your summers to yourself, without any parental supervision and things. And it's, I don't know, the evolution of society in the U.S. and things and, economy, this is not like I think actually if they would have done this going back to probably the maybe the 60s instead of 2002 to really show the drop off in manufacturing, maybe even further back than that. But anywho, moving on. So essentially, these declines reflect the impact of globalization, automation, and shifting economic priorities. However, not all sectors suffered, right? Some, like beverage and tobacco, actually saw growth, adding 9,600 new establishments, while the food industry grew by 5,100 new establishments, okay? In recent years, the U.S. has taken steps to revitalize its manufacturing sector. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed vulnerabilities in global supply chains, right? That just-in-time inventory and everything. You guys remember that? And shortages during the pandemic highlighted the risks of relying heavily on overseas manufacturing. So, additionally, rising tensions between the U.S. and China further underscored the need for more domestic production, right? And so in response, the current administration introduced the Inflation Reduction Act, or the IRA, and the CHIPS and Science Act. These laws are designed to encourage U.S.-based manufacturing, especially in critical and tech industries like semiconductors. For those of you that have been following along with, semiconductors, I know a few of you that, you sort of specialize in shipping that type of stuff. This was something I believe was starting to be put in place with the previous administration. I don't know if it was necessarily semiconductors, but bringing U.S. manufacturing back. I think that there was enough foresight there to realize that, hey, we can't just be completely a consumer country. And so, the previous administration had started to put that in place, and they sort of are now following along with it, 3 years later. These legislative efforts have led to the announcement of billions of dollars in new manufacturing products across the U.S. However, many of these projects face delays or have been paused due to various challenges. And that brings us to our next chart here, I guess you want to call it. Sorry, I haven't not had enough coffee yet this morning. Several factors have contributed to delays in these new manufacturing projects, though the top three being labor shortages. The ongoing struggle to find skilled workers has slowed down the implementation of new projects, which is, if anybody pays attention to Mike Rowe, he did that show Dirty Jobs. Everybody wants to go to college and grab a political science degree or a fancy artsy smartsy degree, and now they're unemployed when, and they've got this huge college debt when, they could have gone into, some sort of a skilled trade, and basically got out with no debt and making six figures a year, sometimes to start or close to it. If you're considering or if you know anybody considering a career change or anything like that, I would encourage them to get into the skilled trades. Number two, regulatory hurdles. Navigating complex regulations has also contributed to delays. And number three is slowing demand. U.S. consumer demand for EVs has dipped, setting back manufacturing plans. As an example, Samkey, a Korean auto parts manufacturer, delayed EV production in Alabama by 2 years. So all of these current delays mean that the expected freight demand might not come as quickly as hoped. But that doesn't mean preparation should slow down. So for those of you out there building your book of business, whether you're a carrier or a broker or an agent, this is going to be some things that, you might want to pay attention to. As far as food, beverage, and drug manufacturing, reefer demand is one of the fastest growing logistics sectors in the supply chain. Reefer demand will continue to grow. Earlier this year, Lineage Logistics delivered the largest IPO of the year. Cold chain maintenance. Brokers must ensure reliable reefer capacity to maintain the cold chain for perishable goods. And regionalization. Routes may shift to more regionalized distribution centers, affecting load planning and delivery schedules. So, for example, J&J Snack Foods has opened 3 new regional DCs, with 85% of its orders being shipped from the new network. Jumping into high-tech manufacturing, new freight corridors and increased trucking demand, especially in semiconductor manufacturing, like we mentioned earlier, regions like Texas, Arizona, and Ohio. Specialized equipment, high-value electronics may require climate-controlled or air-ride trailers to prevent damage during transit. I'm losing my voice this morning for some reason. Driver training. Specialized training for drivers will be necessary to handle sensitive and valuable loads. Next up is increased cargo theft risk. Carriers should implement strong security protocols such as real-time tracking, security escorts, or using secured drop yards. Next up on that would be insurance considerations. Okay, insurers may require additional coverage or specific security measures for high-value shipments. Okay, we've actually run into this. We actually had to get some additional insurance, one of my dedicated carriers, and inevitably went back to the customer, and they compensated us for it, right? So, but that's all part of building a very strong relationship. You know, it was like, oh, you need more money? Sure. You know, and so, you know, they actually gave us a little bit more than what we were asking for because they like round numbers. So, but shift from traditional manufacturing. Decline in dry van loads. All right. Expect fewer dry van loads from declining sectors like textiles and furniture. Okay. And number 2 under that is diversification. Brokers may need to diversify their customer base or explore emerging sectors to fill capacity, right? This is something that while we talk about niches and things, it's always good to still diversify your portfolio. Or your book of business rather. And so, because, you know, anything can happen, you know, if you remember during the pandemic, you know, I myself personally lost like 70% of my business when the pandemic happened because it was all non-essential stuff. Right. Yeah, don't get caught with your pants down, right? Diversify your book of business. And that goes for you carriers as well, right? If you're working customer direct or, you know, working with your brokers, you know, make sure you're hauling different types of freight and building those relationships. And if you have the opportunity to run something dedicated, you know, which is primarily what I do, you know, my carriers are happy, my customers are happy, I'm happy, everybody happy, right? So, you know, don't be afraid to build those relationships. So strategic planning for the future, by staying informed and adapting to these changes, freight brokers and carriers can position themselves to take advantage of emerging opportunities and navigate the potential challenges that lie ahead. Basically, the future of U.S. manufacturing is still evolving, and those who plan strategically will be best equipped to thrive in the new landscape. Okay. I hope everybody found that beneficial, helped you out, maybe gave you something to think about for the future, you know, as we kind of are turning the corner, getting into, you know, before we run into 2025, you know, start looking into some of these different types of markets and things. I hope that those graphics helped you guys out, you know, to kind of pinpoint, you know, some of these areas. And if you're into construction materials, you know, all of these new places are, which is something I should have brought up in that, but, you know, the construction materials, if you're, you know, if that's something that you do, you know, steel, lumber, you know, all of that kind of stuff, brick, you know, and you're not in one of these target areas or something, look into that. Maybe talk to your customers, you know, hey, are you working on this project or that project? You know, what can I do now to, you know, kind of help, you know, that goes smoothly once that kicks off, right? So being proactive can go a long way. And the fact that you do that, that's going to look very good to your customers as well, right? That you are, you know, preparing for the future for them, right? So again, and it's Friday. I'm sorry I didn't get a video in yesterday. I really tried. But it's just been a crazy week. Again, I'm going to be out all of next week. So I do apologize for that. I mean, I do and I don't. I'm going to one of my favorite places on earth, if not the favorite place on earth for me. And so I will be back that Monday, what is it, the 9th. I'll be back and rip roaring, ready to go. I hope everybody has a great Labor Day weekend. And as always, be kind to one another. I'll see you all back here on the 9th. Bye-bye now.